All right. We are here. It is what I like to call Wisdom Wednesday. Wisdom Wednesday today. And I would like to come forth before you with more of these Wisdom Wednesday messages. And that is my goal for the upcoming future. I have been extremely busy traveling up and down the roads, taking on different functions, preparing for the Wisdom and Wealth Conference. All right, so I'm hoping that those of you that can check by the page, tune into that. It's going to be some exciting things taking place. I'm not going to use this live right here to just promote the Wisdom and Wealth Conference. You can check that out on your own. But tonight I want to go into a topic about wine and strong drink. Now, this topic right here has been debated throughout centuries. All right, this is not just a new topic, but individuals, they go back to the days of antiquity, and they discuss amongst each other: is it okay? Is it lawful for a person to have a little drink here and there? Is it okay that I, have a little wine or a little strong drink here and there? Individuals in the scriptures like Noah, you see that even the Messiah, who the world calls Jesus Christ, they say he was a wine bibber. So is it okay for us to have a moderate drink every now and then? Or is it just something that we need to refrain from altogether? So tonight I'm going to go from my book right here, The Wisdom, the World's Greatest Hidden Treasure, which pulls from the wisdom of Ecclesiasticus, better known as the Book of Sirach, and also the wisdom of Proverbs, and the other wisdom books as well, the Torah wisdom, to be able to share with you what wisdom has to say about drinking. Now, I'll just share with you my testimony. There have been times in my life where I've been a moderate drinker. Going back to over 20 years ago, I was a alcoholic. And, coming to the Most High, I needed deliverance, and he did deliver me. He freed me from it. I went through many years, I would say, without even drinking at all. Came into the knowledge of more understanding, and then I would just have me some occasional drinks here and there, because I'm looking at the scriptures. I'm saying, if the Messiah, if he drunk wine, I'm not better than him, so I can have me a little glass here and there. It's not going to hurt nothing. In the scriptures they say a little wine for the stomach's sake. All right, so I look at these different scriptures and I said, all right, let me just have me a little glass here and there, and that's what I did. And then it became to just an occasional type of thing, and then it was like a once at the end of the week. You've been working hard, you're working 50, 60 hours at your job or at your business. Let me just go in and sit on the back porch, have me a glass, and enjoy myself. So I did that. And then just looking into the wisdom scriptures, though, when you see what wisdom has to say about it, and you could line up the positives with the negatives, you could be able to make that decision. Now, it is lawful. That's something that none of us will be able to debate as it relates to it. Does the scripture says it's lawful? It's lawful. All right, we can debate it. I can't say we cannot debate it, but I'm telling you that it is lawful according to the scriptures. And many individuals in the scriptural days, they drunk wine, they drunk strong drink. But I'm telling you, it's in our best interest that we really take heed to what wisdom has to say. So I'm not going to labor you any longer. We're going to get straight into the scriptures. So if you have your word, you can go to Proverbs chapter 20 and verse number 1. It reads as, wine is a mocker, strong drink is raging, and whosoever is deceived thereby is not wise. So it tells us right there that wine will mock us. Strong drink is raging. You ever had that drink, you put it down and you, feeling good. Somebody say the wrong thing to you, you might punch them in their mouth, right? When the liquor starts inflaming a person. All right, it said, whosoever is deceived by these two are not wise. So I want to share with you tonight so that you will not be deceived moving forward with wine and strong drink. All right, so I'm going to read a little excerpt from my book. It said in the above verse, we are able to see that wine can indeed mock an individual. Strong drink, liquor is raging. Whosoever is deceived by both of these drinks is not wise. In order for one to be wise according to wisdom, one will have to not consume alcohol beverages altogether, or that person will have to know at what point to stop their consumption. Now, this is a problem with a nice amount of individuals because they do not know where to stop. There is a line for those of us that have drunk in the past, and those that are still drinking. You know that there is a line that you can cross, that line from sobriety to drunkenness, and it's very easy. Sometimes It could be the difference between just having another glass can take an individual from being sober to being just a little buzzed to being completely drunk. And we're going to go into what wisdom has to say about drunkenness as well. Ecclesiasticus, in the book of Sirach, chapter 31 and verse 27. It said, wine is as good as life to a man if it be drunk moderately. What life is then to a man that is without wine? For it was made to make men glad. So I've had I've had those sentiments so many times in my life, where the wisdom tells us wine is good as a life to a man if it be drunk moderately. It said, what life is to a man without wine? I've had those situations where I go through my week, I work 60, 70 hours a week, and I just want to sit back on the back of my porch and just have me a nice little glass of wine and just look up at the stars and just enjoy life. All right. And I'll say, what life is it if I couldn't have that wine? Number 28, wine measurably drunk and in season brings gladness of heart and cheerfulness of mind. So if it's measurably drunk, we talk about things that are done in moderation. The sad thing about it is there are a nice amount of individuals, it's best for them not to even never touch the wine or the strong drink ever again, because they do not know how to be moderate. All right, one glass will open up the whole portal of them going back to their old behaviors. So it's very important that if you're that type of person and the Most High has delivered you from drinking, all right, it's best that you just don't never go back to it again if you don't feel like you can handle it. But it talks about wine measurably drunk. Verse 29, but wine drunken with excess maketh bitterness of the mind with brawling and quarreling. Drunkenness increases the rage of a fool till he offends. It diminishes strength and it makes wounds. So these are some of the things that it talks about with this wine. It talks about it makes a man feel good. What is life without wine? If it's measurably drunk, it brings gladness of heart. But if it's drunk with excess, if an individual is drinking too much wine, it's going to bring bitterness of the mind with brawling and quarrel. It said drunkenness increases the rage of a fool till he offend. Listen, I will go ahead and throw both my hands up. I have offended in the past. All right, I'm being under the influence of wine and strong drink. And some of those situations I wish I could take back and be in those situations all over again with a sober mindset, so that I would not have been able to share some of those words. They say when a person is drinking a wine or strong drink, they utter their sober thoughts. Things that are, can easily be held in when a person is sober, they are 10 times harder to hold those same sentiments in when a person is inflamed with wine or strong drink. When a person is drinking, that's when you could tell the pride that comes out of a person. They utter it out of their voice. All right, it talks about this as well. It said wine has proven to bring good cheers to the heart of men and women throughout history. Some individuals will go as far as to state that life would be boring without wine. Like there's individuals that's on this live that may share the same sentiments. They need that glass of wine. I have echoed those words during my seasons of wine consumption. I talked about after a long week of work, I look forward to going on my back deck and slowly drinking a glass of wine. It was in those moments I escaped the present cares of the world and entered into a place of laughter. Now, when you go to the book of Esdras in the Apocrypha, I don't have my Apocrypha on me right here in a moment, but it talks about these three different things. Which one is the strongest? It talks about wine, the women, and the king. And it talks about truth as well. Now, wine, it brings the beggar man and the king, and it puts them in a place where they can actually have a conversation when wine is being brought into the situation. Otherwise, the king does not want nothing with the poor man. He calls him a peasant. He don't want nothing to do with that person unless it has something. That poor person is going to be helping them and fixing something or doing something that will better their cause. But it brings them down to a place where laughter takes place, and that's one of the reasons why individuals, they drink a little wine. It helps them to escape the cares of this world. He talks about that in Proverbs, where King Lemuel, his mother told him, these are the type of people who you give wine to. Give one to a person that's ready to perish. Give one to a person that's of heaviness of a heart. Let that person drink and forget their poverty. Let them drink and forget their poverty. All right, it talks about that. It was in these moments that I escaped the present cares of the world and entered to a place of laughter. Of course, like I told you, I'm reading an excerpt from my book, Wisdom, the World's Greatest Hidden Treasures. The scriptures show that wine was made to make men glad. Wisdom informs us that wine must be measurably drunk, which means in moderation. Going back to what I just said, how many individuals are able to be moderate when it comes to wine consumption? Some individuals, they can't just have one glass or it's going to turn back into an addiction. This is why it is wise for a nice amount of us not to drink alcoholic beverages at all. Many individuals do not stop at the moderation point. They proceed further to intoxication. Those that have consumed alcoholic beverages know that there's a certain line that one reaches between still remaining sober and crossing the line of becoming tipsy or drunk. All right, we know Noah, he got off the ark after being in the ark for a whole year. Noah began to get drunk, so drunk that he began to get uncovered. Now it is a mystery of what happened to Noah when you talk about that nakedness. Some people, they have assumptions of his son seeing his nakedness, which when you go to the law, the nakedness of a person can be their wife. Some people looking at it as his son seeing his actual nakedness, which is being his actual private members, his private parts, and they said that he did some type of act or some homosexual act with his father. That speculation's been going on for hundreds of years on what happened with Noah, but he did begin to get drunk, and he is a patriarch, so it can happen to any one of us. All right, so let's continue. Yes, wine drunken in moderation brings gladness, but on the flip side, too much wine brings bitterness. How many of you have been bitter before when you just had too many glasses? You become bitter in your mind. There is a saying in the world, too much of anything is bad for you. The previous statement definitely rings true as it relates to wine. Once an individual crosses the line between sobriety and drunkenness, their whole demeanor begins to change. How many of you can be a witness to that? Individuals, you see them early in the morning, you catch them at about 9 or 10 in the morning, they smiling, they laughing, they having a good time. You catch them at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, they are out on the street acting crazy, they cussing people out, they're ready to fight. You can't talk to them, you can't have a regular conversation because spirits enter into that person. It's a reason why they call it wine and spirits, because these things actually open the door for spirits of other kinds. All right, so the drunken individual often begins to show forms of aggression. That drunkard will eventually start arguments, breathe threats, and other words that come across as very offensive. Do you know that person? Have you been that person that have uttered threats that have been offensive? Their unwise words soon cause emotional wounds to the other party whom they have offended. Just within the last few verses of scripture, we can see multiple reasons why we should limit or stay away from getting intoxicated altogether. Now, this is just what the wisdom has to say. I'm not telling you not to drink wine. I'm not telling you not to drink strong drink. We see individuals in the scriptures, they did it. So I'm not trying to come against the scripture, but what I'm trying to share with you tonight is what wisdom has to say about it. Because wisdom tells us that not all things are for all men. Ecclesiastes 31 and verse 31. I hope your ears pucker up on this one. Rebuke not your neighbor at the wine, and despise him not in his mirth. Give him no despiteful words, and press not upon him, urging him to drink. Let me tell you something. If you ever have to correct someone, do not do it when wine is involved. Wisdom tells us to rebuke not your neighbor at the wine. Neither give him no uncomfortable words. If you ever want to correct someone, do not carry out the act while wine is involved. Ecclesiastes 31 and 31 is a scripture that I take to heart. Why do I take this scripture to heart? Because I was in situations in the past where wine was involved and correction came forth, and I have witnessed on multiple occasions how individuals' tempers flared up and they was ready to fight because they couldn't control the emotions that normally are able to be controlled when the individual is in a sober state of mind. So if you want to, avoid an altercation, do not correct someone when they are drinking, or when you are drinking with that person. That's not the time to start trying to rebuke someone, or you're going to end up probably in an altercation. I sat down years ago with a friend of mine. We was talking about different business plans, different things that we was going to do together. And next thing you know, the wine was brought out, and that almost led into an altercation. And sometimes you need real life examples to bring these wisdom scriptures to life and everyday applications. Because sometimes individuals can read these scriptures, left and right, back and forth, and you can say, I see what it's saying. But when it happens in real life, that's when you're able to say, okay, I see it. It makes plenty of sense now. Ecclesiastes 31 and 26. The furnace proveth the edge by dipping, so does wine the hearts of the proud by drunkenness. Drunkenness contributes to bringing a person's pride to the forefront. Like I was just telling you just a little while ago, drunkenness, when a person begins to get drunk, they utter the things that they hold in while they're sober. It says, the furnace proves the edge by dipping, so does wine the hearts of the proud by drunkenness. After a few shots of glass of wine, individuals begin to speak every thought that comes to their mind. Have you been there before? I've been that person. Uttering that. It's hard sometimes for me as I'm in a sober state of mind to control my tongue and make sure I don't say every single word that comes to my mouth. Imagine how hard it is when you've been drinking to hold those words back. The drunkard is very quick to overtalk, interrupt, and disregard anyone so that they can get their point across. Have you been that person? Over talking individuals, not allowing a person to get their point across when you've been drinking? If you ever want to hear the heart of a man or a woman, listen to them while they've been drinking. There is a common belief that when a person is drunk, they speak their sober thoughts. The thoughts that a person is able to conceal before drinking becomes 10 times harder to disguise once they have been aflame with alcohol. Now, I've said some of these things already, but I'm reading them verbatim from my book. Now, this right here alone is enough for me to look at drinking and say, I really need to take this into consideration. Proverbs chapter 23 and verse 29. Who have woe? Who have sorrow? Who have babbling? Who have wounds without cause? Who have redness of eyes? They that tarry long at the wine, though they that go to seek mixed wine. Look not thou at the wine when it's red, when it's giveth its color in the cup, when it's moving itself aright. At last it bites like a serpent, and it stings like an adder. Thy eyes shall behold strange women, and thy heart shall utter perverse things. Yeah, that should be as he that lies down in the midst of the sea, or he that lieth upon the top of a mast. They have stricken me, shalt thou say, and I was not sick. They have beaten me, and I felt it not. When shall I awake? I will seek it yet again. So now, as you go to Proverbs chapter 23, you see all these negative attributes to wine and strong drink. When you look at Proverbs chapter 23, it said, do not look at the wine when it is red in its cup, when it's circling around in that cup. It said, at last, it's going to bite you like a serpent and sting like an adder. He said, your eyes will behold strange women, and your heart will utter perverse things. Listen here, this is one of the things that I tell individuals that like to go out in public and have a drink. It says, your eyes are going to behold strange women, and your heart, your mind is going to utter perverse things. So you could be out, you could be a married individual. You could be out with your husband, you could be out with your wife. And you out drinking in public and these spirits get a hold of you, and it could cause you to lust after another woman or to lust after another man. Don't think that you're too strong where it won't happen to you. It said your eyes are going to behold strange women, and your heart are going to utter perverse things. Your heart is your mind. It's going to utter perverse things. You're going to think about having sex with the waitress, with the bartender. If you keep seeing this person walking back and forth, striking up conversations with you, this is why I encourage individuals, if you're going to drink wine or strong drink, it's wise that you do it at the confinement of your own home. It's best that you do it when you're done driving for the day. Do it at your house. When you're going out in public, it's too many things that can go south for you. In this case right here, it could be you uttering perverse things and lusting after a strange woman or a man. Number 34, yeah, you should be as he that lies down in the midst of the sea, or that lies upon the top of a mast. They have stricken me, shalt thou say, I was not sick, they have beaten me. Also, when individuals are under the consumption of wine and strong drink, individuals get in fights, you can punch that individual, and sometimes they don't even feel it. That's not the type of person you want to be trying to brawl against, an individual that's under these spirits. I felt it not. When shall I awake? I will seek it again. Even in the midst of all these negative things that can happen with a person drinking wine, drinking strong drink, it said that in Proverbs 23 and 35, that person, even though that person was stricken, even that person was sick, how many of you have had, headaches, overnight consumptions of wine? My mind right now is not giving me the word. You know what that's called when you have those those overnight things that go on to you, hangovers. All right, that's what it is. They have beat me and I have felt it not. When shall I wake? I will seek it again. Even in the midst of all these things happening, this individual says, listen, I want more. I want to seek it again. And they will be up at 9 and 10 o'clock in the morning. There is an individual that I know personally, family member. He was so drunk, they had to drop this person off in his grass, in his yard of his house. He couldn't drive back home. They just dropped him off and he fell asleep in his yard. All right. And there's so many other individuals that you hopped in your car. Individuals are driving all kind of places and you don't even know how you got there. How many of you on this live right now, you got so drunk at one point in time, to the people that have drunk in the past, you done something and you don't even remember doing it. Proverbs chapter 30 and verse 4. It said, it's not for kings, O Lemuel, it is not for kings to drink wine, nor for prince to drink strong drink, lest they drink and forget the law and pervert the judgment of any of the afflicted. It talks about these individuals, kings. It's not for kings to be sitting over here getting drunk. He said they are going to forget the law, and they are in the place to execute right ruling and right judgment. He said they're going to forget the law and pervert the judgment of any of the afflicted. So if it can get the king out of his character, if it can get the king off of his square, what is it going to do to you and I? Said at the beginning of Proverbs chapter 30, King Lemuel shares the wisdom that was passed down to him by his mother. His mother gave him this game, the wisdom. She informed him that kings will forget the law once they begin to consume wine and strong drinks. Kings will pervert the judgment of those that are afflicted in their cause. The wisdom that his mother passed down to him still speaks volumes to this day. The kings of Israel were supposed to read portions of the law daily so that it will be ingrained within their memory. If the wine makes kings forget the law, then it will do the same to you and me. Sometimes in the state of being intoxicated, an individual could be fully aware that they are violating wisdom's laws. In their pride of being inflamed, they will even boast about violating the laws of the Most High or the laws of wisdom. This is when the pride comes in. You start drinking too much, then the individual begins to get prideful. Now they are out here breaking the laws of the Most High, the commandments of wisdom, and they do not even care about it. This is what wine and strong drink can do to you. Ecclesiasticus chapter 19 and verse 1. A laboring man that is given to drunkenness shall not be rich, and he that contemneth small things shall fall little by little. So it tells us in Ecclesiasticus, the book of Sirach, that a laboring man that is given to drunkenness shall not be rich. So if you're looking for a financial nugget tonight, that's one of them. If you limit or just put it together all the way together, do not consume wine or strong drinks. That money that you're spending towards those substances can go towards you investing in a property one day. It can go towards you investing in a stock or something else that can yield you some income. Think about all the money. If you are a person that have been a drinker in the past, think of all the hundreds or thousands of dollars that you have spent on that. It could be as simple as you just grabbing a couple of drinks after work, and every day you spending $10 to $15 every single day after work, 5 days a week. And you sitting there and that $10 to $15 is $70 a week times 4 weeks. That is $280 a month that you are spending on alcoholic beverages times 12 months. That's about $2,500 a year just putting inside of your body to make you feel better. Think about what $2,500 can yield you over the term of a 5 or a 10-year investment. That's right there is a wisdom nugget. And it said that person will fall little by little. Listen, this is one thing that we have to take into consideration. If we contend the small things, if we do not pay attention to the smaller things that are happening to us day by day, it can cause us to fall little by little. I have watched this scripture unfold in my own life as it relates to finances, not keeping control of finances little by little, and I will eventually make a fall financially. This is the same thing that will happen to wine and alcohol consumption. If you're not staying on top of it, avoiding it altogether, or being very moderate as it relates to it, you are going to fall little by little, and eventually you could be somewhere begging for a place to stay. Eventually you could be somewhere where you done lost your job because the drunkenness, the groggy feeling, the drowsiness that comes from drinking causes you to stay at home. It causes you not to want to go to work the next day. Proverbs chapter 31 and verse 6, it says, give strong drink unto him that is ready to perish, and wine unto them that be of a heavy heart. Now, I want to go back before I elaborate on Proverbs 31. I want to read a couple other things that I want to take into consideration. So when you go to, in my book, I'm still reading from my book, it said, wine has helped me to feel awesome on some occasions, but its side effects cause terrible feelings days after. There were days after drinking wine when I was slow to get out of bed the next morning. I will have discomfort in my chest, which I describe as a groggy feeling. When in the wisdom books, it calls it drowsiness. How many of you can relate to being drowsy after drinking too much? Some days after consuming a strong drink, I will have headaches. To me, the drinking began to not be worth it any longer. As I studied through the Torah of wisdom, I was able to see all the harmful effects of what could happen to me if I continued to drink wine. This is the domino effect of what too much wine can do to a man or woman who works for honest living. Remember, I told you, if a person not taking heed to this, they will fall little by little. Drunkenness is just not worth losing your job, damaging your reputation, and putting your family in an uncomfortable situation. Keep this in mind if you're one of those that love to have a cold one as soon as you get off work. So I told you about what Proverbs chapter 23 talks about. Who has woe? Who has sorrow? Who has contention? Who has wounds without cause? Who has redness of eyes? Those that tarry long at the wine. Those that seek mixed wine. Look not at the wine when it's red in his cup, when it goes about his way. At last it bites like a serpent, and it stings like an adder. Thy eyes shall behold strange women. Thy heart shall utter perverse things. Look, I am a man of the Most High. I love the Most High, and I fear the Most High probably just as much as anyone you probably gonna meet. But even if I go out to a public place and I trust my flesh and think, oh, I'm too strong, it ain't gonna happen to me, and I start sitting over there at a bar and I start drinking, it's the wisdom tells us that their eyes are going to utter perverse things. Eventually, if I go out to a public place, I'm going to look at a bartender, I'm going to be looking at this woman bringing me drinks, and eventually my heart will utter perverse things. I'm not telling you all that I drink. I'm saying if I did go out to do that, that's what will happen to me, what will happen to any one of us. So it's best for you to be wise. If you're going to do it, it would be best for you to do it at the confinement of your own home. If you have a wife, you can drink wine and you can lust at her all you want to. If you got a husband, you can look at your husband, you can desire your husband all day long. But if you're out in public, you will desire a stranger. All right, I'm telling you this for you married couples out there. You want to go out and have drinks with your husband, drinks with your wife, your husband or your wife. I'm telling you, in their mind, they're uttering perverse things about that person who keeps bringing them drinks. They might not tell you that, but I'm going to tell you. Proverbs chapter 30 and verse 31 and 6. Give strong drink unto him that is ready to perish, and wine to them that be of a heavy heart. Let him drink and forget his poverty, and remember his misery no more. So according to wisdom, these are the people that qualify as candidates to drink wine. Those that are ready to perish, and those that are of a heavy heart. So older individuals are individuals that are going through heaviness. They just, like I told you earlier on this study, that wine makes a man's heart glad. So if a person is heavy and they're downtrodden, they're going through some different things, wisdom instructs that they get them a little glass here and there. It will bring them to a calm state. It will allow them to have joyful times. Remember, a natural remedy is that a merry heart does good like medicine. So if an individual is cheerful and they're joyful, then more likely they will feel good for the time being. But the sad thing about that is once that laughter goes off and once that wine wears off, they can deal with that drowsiness, and then their problems are still right there. So is it really good? All right. So now as I close out this study, I have a chart right here. It's a chart of positives and negatives about wine and strong drinks. So let me go through the positives of wine and strong drinks, and then I'm gonna go to the negatives, and you can make your choice. Okay. The positives: it makes men feel glad. Number 2, it helps individuals forget their poverty. Number 3, it is said to have great health benefits. Number 4, it is lawful to consume. Number 5, it is good to consume if it is drunk moderately. So these are the positive things that wisdom has to say about wine consumption. Let's talk about the negative sides though. Number 1, it promotes pride. Remember, when a person is drunk, they can't hold their feelings inside that they've been containing while they're sober. It promotes pride. It leads to quarreling, which is fights. It leads to bitterness of mind. You lose strength. It causes offense. It is a mocker. It is a deceiver. It causes sorrow. It enhances lust. It bites like a serpent. It leads to addiction. It leads to laziness. So as we break down wine and strong drink, the consumption of it, as I have did my due diligence as going through the Torah of wisdom and looking at all the wine scriptures. Of course, there's more scriptures outside the wisdom books, but it's 5 positive things that wisdom has to say about wine, and there's 12 negatives. So the choice is yours. It's up to you. Should you drink wine, a strong drink? Should you just drink it measurably and just drink a little bit and be okay? Or as you just feel like you're one of those individuals that you need to avoid it altogether? I'm going to leave that up to you. So I appreciate those of you that still about to watch this lesson. I want to do more of these Wisdom Wednesdays here in the future, so that you can be able to take a heed to the wisdom that's coming out, the Torah wisdom, and from these different books that the Most High has given me through my own personal testimonies as well. 9 p.m. If you can remember this, I want to be back on here the same time next week, Wisdom Wednesday at 9 p.m. live. Or if I throw another video throughout the daytime, that might compensate for the live. So just be watching out for a video in the morning. If you don't see the video in the morning, be looking at the Wisdom Wednesday at 9 p.m. Is it lawful to drink wine or strong drink? It is lawful. You see it in the scripture. The Messiah drunk wine, Noah drunk wine, other people drunk wine. But is it right for you to do? That's the choice that you're going to have to make. So I pray the Most High be with you. Until the next time we see each other again, I say, shalom, peace.